Okay, guys. So, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am here with Mr. 4Blues, aka Small Husky, who is our excellent translator, and our super Gosu player, Mr. Kid from China, who advanced to the round of 16 of BSL season 14, and he showed us some really good games, excellent macro games. So, welcome, Mr. 4Blues, and welcome, Mr. Kid.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I assume everyone understood, so that we don't need to translate that, so I can go on with the questions, right?
Yeah, cool.
Okay. Okay, so Mr. Kid, so please tell us, introduce yourself to the foreigner fans, to the foreigner StarCraft community. Let us know, when did you start playing StarCraft? What was your history? What was your prime time? Maybe now is your prime time. Like, tell us something more about you, so the foreigner fans will be able to get to know you a little bit more.
好的，非常感谢这个 Kid 选手，你可以来参加这次的采访。那么想请问这个，你可不可以先介绍一下你自己呢？比如说你是什么时候开始打星际的呢？那你这个过去的星际职业生涯大概是怎么样的一个过程？以及这个你觉得你这个状态最好时候巅峰时期，大概是什么时候？是现在吗？
大家好我是来自中国的选手 Kid。接触这个《星际争霸》这个游戏应该比较早，应该是儿时的时候吧。但是那个时候可能只是把它当做一个游戏去玩，没有太深入的去玩但正式的可能比较投入的去玩这个游戏，应该是在06年左右。我玩星际的时间大概是在06年到10年，可能玩大概4年的时间，然后之后就因为生活工作的原因就离开了这个圈子，然后直到重制版出来08年之后，我才又回来玩这个游戏，直到应该是去年，就是20年底的时候，我开始作为一个职业的主播到现在然后如果要算竞技状态的话，应该我觉得在08、09年的时候，应该竞技状态是最好的但是如果要从水平来说的话，应该可能现在的水平应该会高一些，因为现在整个的技战术水平比起十几年前肯定要提升的非常多。对，就这样。
好的，谢谢。刚才请重复一下，就是这个你后来是18年的时候又开始打，然后20年的时候开始做这个职业主播是吗？
对，18年就回来打，但是打的也很少，很间断，因为那个时候一直在上班嘛。作为职业主播之后，可能投入的精力会稍微多一些。
了解了。好，谢谢。Yeah, so Kid, Kid started playing StarCraft when he was a young kid. I guess that makes sense. And yeah, so when he was a kid, he didn't really take StarCraft that seriously until around 2006, which is when he started actively playing between 2006 to 2010. But then he work began to take up a lot more of his time, so he sort of stopped playing between 2010 to 2018. So that's Kid started returned to StarCraft more actively since 2018, and also that was after the remastered version. And he only became a pro streamer, a full-time streamer since 2020 and until today. But he thinks his best form was more between say 2008 to 2009 relatively, but of course he's definitely stronger now today, because the StarCraft scene is generally more skilled today than 10 years ago. Yeah,
I agree. Even though that like everyone thinks that back in the days there was a prime time 2010 2006, 2010 was the prime time of StarCraft Brood War. Even though that more players were playing then, now the skill level is much higher. It's so I understand perfectly. I also used to play in those times, and I also think that even though I was better compared to other players back then, now I'm better than I was, but I'm worse compared to the other players. But yeah, I think Mr. Kid is great, and I really like his macro style. He's like this in outside Korea we call it the Sauron style Zerg, because this is a Zerg which is trying to gain all the map, make incredible macro, and then like consume their opponent. And I wanted to ask, does he have some kind of a role model? Like, does he have some kind of a favorite player who is trying to follow? Because I'm wondering who is he basing his style on, or maybe he's developing it on his own. But I'm just curious about it.
Sorry, what was the style called again?
The Sauron Zerg. This is the Sauron Zerg, yeah.
Sauron Zerg. Okay.
No, I just send it to you on Discord. It's Sauron Zerg.
Right. Sauron Zerg. Okay. Yeah. And that's it's a macro heavy strategy that focused on taking over the entire map.
Yes, and being macro Zerg and focus more very much on macro and getting all the bases and control over the map.
所以好的，这个 Zero 说他这个非常同意你的这个看法，就是说当时这个大家经常都觉得2006年到2010年是这个星际的一个这个巅峰时期，因为那个时候玩的人更多。不过呢，今天的这个选手的这个总体水平也的确应该比当时要高很多了，毕竟游戏发展了很久，虽然这个玩家这个没有以前那么多。那 Zero 说他当时也挺猛的，然后相对于其他选手而言也挺猛的，不过这个现在还是更猛，现在还是更猛。虽然这个之间可能练习的时间也没有那么多了，这个所以总体这个来说，这个水平还是在提高的。那么这个 Zero 说呢，他很喜欢你的这个游戏风格。
没事，您说。
对他很喜欢你的这个风格，就是说在这个就是非韩的这个圈里面，他们这个管你的这种风格叫做这个 Sauron 风格，这个 Sauron 应该是《指环王》里面的那个大反派吧，就那个大眼睛《指环王》这个电影，不知道你有没有看过？应该是这个。然后说这个形容就是说这个战术呢是一个非常这个靠运营的一个战术，就是使用这个很强劲的运营来迅速的占领这个尽量这个开矿，然后占领更多的这个基地。那么这个 Zero 想问你，你是这个你的这个就是这个风格是不是是建立于某一个你最喜欢的，比如职业选手的这个风格之上呢？这个是还是说这个是你自己创立的一个这种比较这种打法呢？有没有一个什么这个what do you call it？
学习对象是吧？或者说
对学习对象，
模仿的对象。
对，
我大概了解这个意思。OK，就准确的说，其实我从玩星际到现在，可能我觉得我可能以前就年轻的时候，可能更擅长的应该是微操作方面的。但是由于现在这个自己的年龄的增大嘛，可能我们没有以前20岁左右时候的那个的反应力所以说可能现在会更多的把精力侧重在运营上我以前的偶像应该是解冻就是解冻，就是他是一个特别擅长于进攻、很激进的一位选手但现在可能我个人会更喜欢 Soki 就永康这位选手，就是 Soki 这位选手这位选手就相对来说比较符合我现在的这种情况，就是有一定的基础的手速，然后操作，但是可能会把侧重点放在一些策略上，还有一些运营上如果我现在整体的学习的一个对象，应该可能就是 Soki 会多一些。
了解，就是 Soki 的是一个比较整体的这么一个战术哈。好的，谢谢。So Kid actually said since he started playing StarCraft, he's always been more of a micro player rather than a macro player, especially when he was younger. But now that as people age, your reflexes generally tend to decrease. So that's why he has adopted more of a macro strategy, like a macro oriented play style now. So that's one of I think what one of the things about when you get older, it's also like you see it like how when you look at professional players, they tend to peak in their early 20s around that time, and then you kind of go downhill after when you reach close to 30. So Kid's favorite player actually used to be Jaedong. So I think it's sort of like everyone's favorite player. Yeah, but every Zerg's favorite player, I guess. But nowadays he enjoys watching and learning from Soulkey's play style a lot more, because he thinks that Soulkey style is a lot more suitable for him, as in it requires an adequate or at least like a baseline level of mechanics. Maybe I'm guessing around 300 APM. Like it's not too mechanically intensive. At the same time, it's quite varied. So it's more of a like a pretty balanced style that's quite flexible and more friendly for people. I don't know, with the transitioning towards more of a macro strategy and strategic decision-making based playstyle compared to like a micro-based melee kind of playstyle.
So I was basing my question based on some of the games against Boa, and as well as Kids games in the announcement tournament against Terror. I think it was on Revolver. It was in some incredible macro game. But I also now I'm remembering there was a game on Turbine against Terror where Kid played incredible micro style, and also against J-Star. I believe both games were very quick, very micro intensive. But I remember this macro game from Mr. Kid and those macro games from Mr. Kid. And I agree about Solky. It's like this guy has his own style, I would say, and I love watching him playing. So I think he's the best Zerg, but the biggest downside of Solky is that he's lacking in ZVZs a little bit, and that's why he can't advance, because his ZVP and ZVT is probably top level. Okay, so sorry for that. Going for the question, I wanted to ask Mr. Kid, did he like participating in BSL? Like, what are his experience about it, and what does he think about the players he was facing? And is he planning to come back next season? I hope yes, but I just need to ask.
Hey, thank you. 这个 Zero 说他这个之所以是这个问你这个你的这个风格，这个是因为他觉得这个在看你这个 BSL 的时候和这个 BOA 这个加拿大选手，还有这个南美洲的这个人族选手 Terra， 就是上次BSL 14Terra 这个 BSL 14这个邀请赛，对，然后对说这个看你的这个运营非常非常强，不过他说这个后来也看你和应该是我不知道是哪一场吧，你和 J-Star 打的时候也说这个看到你的这个操作也是非常强，所以说可能这个感觉你是一个非常就是综合都很优秀的一个选手嘛。然后他说他也很喜欢 Soulkey， 只不过就感觉好像 Soulkey 是不是在这个 ZVZ 的时候运气不太好啊，然后还是因为他的 ZVT 和 ZVP Zero 都觉得是顶级的，所以可能是碰到 ZVZ 就卡住了，晋级不了了，不知道是不是这个样子哈。 这个那 Zero 现在想问你呢，就是说你这个在这个参加 BSL 以来，你现在对这个 BSL 的这个目前的感觉是怎么样的？这个有哪些感想，以及这个你对这个你所面对的在 BSL 中面对这些选手，这个你感觉他们这个如何？那个你感觉他们打的这个怎么样？这个风格啊，以及风格和国内选手有哪些差距？然后呢，然后最终就是，下次的 BSL 你还会想来参加吗？
好，就参加，我觉得参加 BSL 对我来说，可能可以跟更多世界上一起，就是在非亚洲之外嘛，就亚洲以外的一些热爱星际的一些玩家一起交流，我觉得非常的高兴，也非常的荣幸。因为到现在这个时代，我们玩这个游戏的人已经不多了啊，所以我很荣幸能够参加 BSL。当然下届的话，如果可以的话，我还是愿意继续参加的。对于欧美的选手对于欧美的选手，我可能我觉得他们的水平都非常的高都非常的高。特别是我这次就最近参加 BSO 以来所接触到的一些选手就是神族选手，可能给我的印象比较深刻。比如说像Dawid、Bonis，包括上次在小组赛跟我交手那个BOA 应该都是相对来说是属于比较强劲的选手啊。当然，可能我们在中国玩的话，可能延迟会比较重延迟会比较重所以说可能和平时自己就没有完全发挥出自己应有的实力嘛。但是如果有机会的话下一次我应该会稍微的调整一下自己的一些风格和策略，来进行这个 BSL 的征程，希望能打出好一点的成绩。对，OK。
非常感谢。So Kid said that he's definitely keen to participate next time again because BSL allowed him to play against more players outside of Asia who have a genuine love for the game, and which he thinks he feels very happy and very honored to be able to participate in. So, and regarding foreign players, so foreign players are extremely strong, especially the Protoss players such as Dawid, Bonus, and also Boa, which he played against in BSL, I think. And though the problem is since Kid is playing in China, so there's more of a lag that's quite a big change from the usual experiences of Chinese players, because they play, I think, turn rate 24. You never go below that when you play within China and with players in Korea, I think. So Kid thinks that he could have definitely done better, but this time it's more for like a getting used to kind of testing the waters, and next time he will adjust to a new strategy, adjust a new strategy against the change in latency in order to achieve better results.
I totally agree. Like, I think when you are playing Zerg versus Terran on turn rate 12, you are picking different strategy when you are playing Zerg versus Terran on turn rate 24, when you can micro muta. So I understand perfectly, especially as I am a Zerg as myself, so I know that how much latency can hurt you. And I hope that within the time we will be able to find the best solution with the VPN, that we will have at least turn rate 16 low with the observer. But yeah, I understand that this is the downside of this entire thing, but it was a downside for the last 20 years, and unfortunately this is our game. But okay, so I'm very happy that Mr. Kid is willing to participate. And like, what about Chinese scene and overall StarCraft over there? Like, does Mr. Kid think that the StarCraft is going towards the direction of evolving, or does he think that this is a prime time for StarCraft, like compared to the, let's say, 2012, 2015, something like that, where it was more of a dead game? Or does he think that from the remaster came out it's relatively similar in terms of popularity.
Okay, thank you. 好的，这个 Zero 说他这个非常同意你说你这个关于战术的这个看法，因为这个说当你尤其是在你打这个 ZVT 的时候，打这个TR12跟 TR24的区别，你会有很大的这个战术区别，完全用不同的方法打，因为这个 Zero 也是重组选手嘛，所以这个下一届他是希望能够找到这个方法来尽量保持。这个最低也能够保持 TR16这个低延迟带上 OB 的这个之后，尽量能够达到这样的一个网速，因为这个就是你在这个跨州的游戏里面。肯定会有这个，一直都是有这个延迟的问题嘛，因为物理距离这个还是比较无法这个跨越的嘛，所以那么Zero 想问这个，就是你对这个目前中国国内的星际圈怎么看呢？你觉得这个在星际在国内现在是不是一个还是很活跃、很火，而且一直在这个进步、这个发展的这么一个状态呢？比如相比于2008或者2015这个年的时候呢，还是说这个你觉得这个重制版出来的这个星际重制版这个发布后，在对这个星际这个火不火，这个有多大的影响呢？
就中国可能，是我们这边的情况可能比较特殊啊。星际毕竟是一个20多年的比较老的游戏了，所以它的受众人群可能相对来说会比较小一些啊。星际争霸在国内现目前还是属于一个小圈子的游戏啊，小圈子的游戏。但唯一的区别是，可能重制版出来之后，它把以前一些很多可能已经离开了这个圈子的一些选手又全部都召集回来了啊。就比如说像我，就是重制版之后我再回来玩这个游戏的啊。同样的，在国内有很多像我一样，也都是以前就是中间离开了不打了，然后重制版出来之后又回来玩了。再加上现在直播这个行业，还有包括网络直播这个行业的一些兴起嘛，再包括国内现目前在观看和支持《星际争霸》这款游戏的一些粉丝，普遍的年龄可能都到了一些成家立室，有一定的基本的经济基础的这样一个情况。所以说，星际这个游戏在国内，我觉得现在类比于15年的时候，肯定是要好很多的。第一是可能关注的人会多起来了，第二的话就是我们能够参与进来进行游戏的玩家，包括我们的主播会更多啊。我觉得就现目前来说，国内的星际还是在稳步的应该有一个上升的一个趋势啊。但是还是回到最初那个话，它毕竟是个小圈子游戏啊，就是可能就在我们自己的这个小圈子里玩就好了，但是还是有进步的。对，
好的，非常感谢。So, Kid says that StarCraft is a very unusual game in China because it's a 20-year-old game, more than 20-year-old, 24, I think. So yeah. It's a very much a niche genre game with a very small, narrow audience. But the biggest impact of Remastered is that it attracted many older players who left previously, maybe around 2010, including Kid himself, and also many other players like himself who left around 2010 and then returned when Remastered was released. Also, at the same time, so streaming is an increasingly popular career in China. And at the same time, because like significant number of audience for StarCraft in China are all generally older. They're older like an older demographic, usually around their 30s, compared to most games like League of Legends. So they tend to be more financially established to be able to support streamers to play the game as a full-time career. So all in all, StarCraft would be considered much better compared to 2015, and Kid thinks that it's getting better as well. But it's still a very niche, specific, narrow kind of circle. So even though it's getting better, the growth is ultimately rather limited.
Yeah, I totally agree, but I still think that like if we have a growth in a 24-year game, I think it's good. I think that means that there is like we will be there for another 24 years. That I would just want to say. So what Mr. Kid who is Mr. Kid predicting to win BSL? Is he familiar with round of 8? Maybe like I know that every Chinese player is saying that Mihu, but maybe there will be some kind of different answer. So I would like to know who Mr. Kid thinks that will win BSL, or maybe he can say top 3 if he can.
Thank you。这个 Zero 说他非常同意。不过呢，这个星际，尤其星际作为一个已经要24年的这么一个游戏，还能够有这个茁壮发展，越来越有这个更多的这个观众也好啊，玩家也好，那这还是一个非常好的这么一个非常好的这么一个情况。所以接着说，这个还想再打20年，再打20年星际。那么这个那么关于 BSL 呢，他接着想请问你，这个你觉得谁会夺冠呢？这次 BSL14，因为他说他知道基本上这个所有的中国选手都觉得迷糊这个基本上是无敌的嘛。不过这个你觉得这个有没有可能，比如说出现不同的情况？如果有的话，你觉得谁的这个夺冠的机会最大呢？
我觉得我觉得毫无疑问，迷糊应该是夺冠的大热门。但是如果除了迷糊之外的话，我觉得同样的，我们的接下来可能会接受采访的我们的国手战魂选手也是非常有夺冠的希望的。战魂选手在国内与迷糊选手交手的情况呢，我觉得也是一个基本在一个5-5开的一个，或者说一个4-6开的一个水准啊，我觉得应该都是挺有机会的。额外的话就是，我小组赛的一个对手那个 Gypsy， 我记得在之前一届的 BSL 的小组赛里也曾经2-0过迷糊，TVT 的对抗里面啊，就是我觉得这位选手也是非常有实力的啊。我觉得如果他能够在决赛面对到迷糊的话，我觉得他也是一个冠军的有力争夺者。对，
好的，非常感谢。Yes, so Kid thinks this is definitely a good chance that Mihu could win, but Janhun also has a pretty good chance, he believes, as I think the past game records within Chinese tournaments between Mihu and Janhun was more like 50-50 or 40-60, kind of like that. So Kid thinks that there's also a pretty good chance that Janhun could take the champion, but at the same time he is aware that Gypsy also won against Mihu 2-0 in the last BSL game. So there's also a pretty good chance that Gypsy could take the championship if he ended up encountering Mihu in the finals.
That's very interesting. So Chinese scene have a big appreciation for Mr. Gypsy. That's very good, because I also think that like from the foreigner players, I think there is Mr. Striker and Mr. Gypsy who peaked with their skill incredibly within the last period of time. So yeah, Mr. Gypsy is definitely very strong, but I agree that Mr. Mihu and Mr. Zanhun are probably the favorites to go towards the finals. Okay, so we agreed that it will be within 15 minutes to 30 minutes. It's 29 minutes 50 seconds, so I'm stretching your guys being nice, your guys being nice guys until till the end. So I wanted to ask, does Mr. Kid have something to say to his foreigner fans? And could he maybe share the info where he's streaming and then send me the link, so I will put it in the description, and what kind of words he would like to send to his foreigner fans and Chinese fans, of course.
Thank you. 是这个Zero 觉得这个非常有趣，这个他这个现在才得知这个国人选手也这个很看好这个 Gypsy 这个Gypsy 这个人族选手，所以他也觉得这个非常有趣，因为他说这个尤其是在这个非韩欧美这个介质里面，Gypsy。一个是 Gypsy，一个是 Striker， 这两个选手都是近期这个苦练，然后有了很大的进步的。不过他也同意这个迷糊跟战魂，是这个也是很好的这个候选人，这个夺冠的候选人呢，很有可能的。所以呢，这个 Zero 说，可能这个本来应该是说15到20分钟的，不过现在时间已经有些超过了这个，所以这个也是有些不好意思。那么也非常感谢你能够这个来参加这次 BSL 的采访。那么 Zero 想请问你有没有哪些想对你的这个欧美的粉丝们说的话呢？以及你有没有这个直播间呐、或者直播链接这个能够分享给大家呢？
好，就是直播链接我应该可以待会儿发到群里嘛，就是也感谢大家的收看，然后也感谢Zero，也感谢我们今天的翻译，也希望大家以后能够多多的关注《星际争霸》这样一款非常经典也是非常有意思的游戏，持续的去关注，持续的去做一些力所能及的一些支持，当然我也在这儿也非常感谢在国外一些如果能够喜欢我或者观看我比赛的一些朋友，也感谢在国内一直支持和观看我的一些观众，感谢大家对于《星际争霸》这款游戏的支持，谢谢 ，Thank you。
好的，非常感谢Sorry Kid says that he is very, very grateful for everyone to be able to watch this game in the BSL series, and thanks to Zero, you and me, translator. So he wishes that more people will be able to watch and participate in StarCraft and be able to support the StarCraft community, and that he is very grateful for all the support that he has received from the Foreign Brutal scene and all the Chinese audiences and fans. So he will share his streaming account link in WeChat, and yeah, that'll be it.
Okay, so huge thanks to you guys. I'm really appreciating the time you are spending. I'm really interested in Chinese scene. I feel like we could talk about like things which are similar towards our scenes for hours. But huge thanks to Mr. 4Blues, aka Small Husky, who not only set up those interviews but only translated them. And huge thanks to Mr. Kid for finding time to answer those questions and be there with us. So huge thanks, guys. You are the best.
这个说非常感谢你这个能够这次来参加 BSL 的采访，那么这个 Zero 也对这个中国星际圈非常感兴趣，所以这个如果可以的话，他能聊好几个小时。不过呢，我们的时间也是这个有限的，所以也非常感谢大家能够在此在一起打星际，也非常希望这个星际圈能够继续茁壮成长谢谢。
Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching, guys, and yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. Okay.